righty. Welcome to another edition of Vegas Badboyz of Podcasting. I'm your host, DJ Impact. I got the Vegas Badboyz here with me, and we are here for 3 count. And it's good to see you, fellas. We haven't done a 3 count in a while. A lot was going on, especially during Mania week. But as you will know, a lot of stories has been going on, and we got to talk about one of the biggest stories that took off last week. And this comes from Figure 4 Online. And it says, quote, that WWE has come to terms on the release of Samoa Joe, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Mickie James, Chelsea Green, Tucker, Kalisto, Mojo Rawley, Bo Dallas, and Wesley Blake as of today, April 15, 2021. We wish them the best in all their future endeavors. Now, fellas, this was really tough. Maybe not for all of the.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
No,
I
just
said
the host. I'm sorry. I just said wasn't. I just was wondering. I'm sorry.
But and you can and definitely give you a reason as to why you don't think. But first off, Samoa Joe and Billie Kay were working it. We knew Samoa Joe had a concussion, and I missed seeing him in the ring, and I don't know how bad it was. I didn't know if he could get back in, or did WWE want to, if they wanted to risk that or not. I didn't find his commentary horrible. I thought he did a relatively good job with it. Again, I still rather have seen him in the ring, but he was working. He was showing up. Hey, the man was out there in the rain at Mania, and he was, again, doing a great job. And then Billie Kay. You're talking about a person who I was really enjoying. We talk about WWE being about entertainment, and she was entertaining. Even the match that she was in, just, coming down, doing all of everything she's been doing with the resume gimmick has just been awesome. And I think, those two probably hit me the most because I really wanted to continue to either hear them or see them. But I'm going to give it to you guys. Tell me, what was your take when you saw this list? Were there any shocks to you? Were there not any? Where do you think we go from here with some of them? What's your take? I'll start with you, Sin City. What did you think when you saw some of these names that was on this list?
Well, I think the thing that honestly really kind of stood out to me was that it was 1 year to the day that they last made their major purge. So April 15th of 2020, they let a bunch of people go right in the middle of the pandemic. And obviously they caught a lot of flack for that. People gave them a whole bunch of shit. And fast forward to April 15th, 2021. And, a lot of very skilled and, quite frankly, in most of the cases, underutilized performers are now trying to figure out what to do next. Yeah. I definitely think that unfortunately, the writing was on the wall for Billie Kay and Peyton Royce the moment that they split up the Iconics.
Yeah, that's true.
The two of them had amazing chemistry from working on the indies to getting the NXT contract and then working through NXT, coming up to the main roster. And then they split them up for no real given reason. And it was that should have been the moment that we knew that their time was limited with the company. But nonetheless, it definitely sucks to see.
But again, she's being used.
Right.
Peyton wasn't. So and not only being used, but being entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the one I don't get.
We had made comments. We had made comments of, the last match that Peyton had with Asuka.
Right.
And, we had made comment that she had gotten a lot better in the ring. So she had been working on her, the in-ring aspect of her game. Right. And Billie Kay was dare I say, focusing more so on the entertainment aspect of her game. And she was starting to settle into a niche with getting the comedy stuff.
Right.
She wasn't involved in a segment where she would do something and I didn't react to it. I thought that the writing was actually really well done with that stuff, with the segments that she was involved with. So yeah, it really sucks to see them getting released, but I think that they will definitely be off to greener pastures. They both have published that they have new names that they're going to be going by. So it wouldn't surprise me if the moment that their non-compete is over, that they're back in the ring somewhere.
Simon Street, what was your take, man? You saw some of these names. I know you were looking at you was first to go. I don't see a kind of a big deal. What's your take when you saw this list, and where do you think some go from here?
I wasn't surprised,
Mm-hmm.
even with Samoa Joe, because with Samoa Joe, he actually got a concussion, then got injured. I can't remember what the particular injury was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even before he got injured, if I'm not mistaken, they were trying to do a push with him. And I think that's when he got injured, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with the details. So I think that I kind of knew that the writing was going to be on the wall at some point if he didn't come back soon. I just felt that. As far as with the rest of the people, let's kind of look at them. I felt, in my opinion, that they were better as a package and not individuals. As Sin City Steve said, Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, they should have never split up the Iconics. Plain and simple. They were they were unique, they were authentic, and they worked. Even though if you look at their in-ring talent, it wasn't of what you might expect, some would say, but they were still entertaining. I was excited to see them. When they split them up, that was a problem. Then you look at Kalisto, another person. Ever since him and Sin Cara no longer were together, that we didn't know what to do with Kalisto. I'm saying we, but they didn't know what they wanted to do with Kalisto. And then they put him with Lucha House Party. And then that kind of went sideways, I guess. And so he's just been kind of chilling in the back, so what didn't surprise me with that. Now, as far as with Tucky, when they broke him and Otis up, I knew eventually Otis was already going to go on and do what he was going to do, and Tucky was going to be left behind. We actually knew that the night of, right? Wasn't it almost like a year ago when they split them up, maybe? We kind of knew that Tucky wasn't going to go nowhere. The focus was on Otis. Who else did it? And as far as Bo Dallas, well, if you would, Bo leave it, he ain't been on TV for the longest.
Bo Dallas's last televised match was in 2019.
See what I'm saying? So it's like, and again, I'm not trying to disrespect these. These are incredible competitors. They've always been entertaining when they were able to be on the spotlight, but it did not surprise me at all that these were the lists. Now, I am interested to see where, some of these people will go possibly. I do remember Samoa Joe said a while back, and I remember seeing it in a post right when he started with the commentary booth. He did say that he feels his career is not over. He was enjoying some of the commentary. So I think he said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, there's still a fire and a desire for this business in ring. So we'll probably see more of Samoa Joe wherever else, whenever else. He's still got steam in the tank. I don't know what their new names are for Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. I still want to see more of them. I would not be happy if they were completely off TV and retired. I read both of their letters. It was heartfelt. It was very tactically smart, as some would mention. But yeah, that's pretty much my take on this. It didn't surprise me.
Let me go to you. Let me go to you, Matt Michaels. Do you, out of the list of names that you see, do you find any of them may have a hard time being placed in some other wrestling organization?
I don't know, because there's enough to go around now. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. I don't think that's the problem. I also think that everyone gets a little short-sighted, and you forget that when you have releases like this, it's a bookkeeping cleanse. So for instance, everyone's talking about Joe. Well, if Joe was not going to be cleared by their doctors, then he was not going to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And if that meant that you're going to continue to pay Joe the salary you're paying him just to be a commentator, then that would have probably been a reason to release him. If it has to do with the fact that you moved Graves over and you wanted to retain Byron Saxton, first of all, you're fucking insane for wanting. I'd cut his ass. He's fucking one of the worst in business. Just get rid of that fucker. That's dead weight right there. But
yeah, tell us how you really feel.
He ain't the only one.
I know. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, if Joe wants to get back in the ring, and let's say AEW wants to, take that risk and pay him all this money, okay, if the price is right, you go for it. But personally, if I'm Joe, I go to Ring of Honor or New Japan on a fucking deal that's either shot to shot or 6 months or a year.
Yeah,
I show that I can wrestle, I can stay healthy, and then drive my price right up. Yeah. That's a smart thing to do. I don't think that any other of these people on this list have any fucking, who cares? Who cares where they go? Doesn't matter. These are not stars. This is just book cleaning that needed to get done. Bo Dallas. Okay, so he's wherever he is on his farm with Liv, apparently. So if anyone saw Liv Morgan make a little statement about that a couple weeks ago. Otherwise, we haven't seen him around. They didn't utilize him at all with Bray. So
yeah,
fuck, who cares? Mojo Rawley, God, why is he still? I mean, fuck, he should have been gone last year. Should have cut his ass. Kalisto, who cares? Yeah, I mean, and as far as Peyton and listen, Peyton's not a good wrestler. Peyton sealed her own fucking death warrant apparently by going on Raw Talk and probably dropping the Sean Spears line, which probably caught the attention of some backstage. And they gave her Asuka, and I don't think Asuka was given to her necessarily as a, hey, we're going to push you thing. I think it was punishment for going on Raw Talk and saying that. And then, ironically enough, she gets cut a week later.
What did she say?
She did a whole fiery speech, and she used one of Sean Spears's analogy type things.
Oh.
It's a very inside. It wasn't like she came out and necessarily said something that was, but it wasn't. People recognized it. So
her mom didn't do her any favors either, though. Her mom tweeted out, basically replying to Charlotte when Charlotte came back and immediately thrust herself into the championship picture, that give somebody else another shot. And Peyton expanded upon that on Raw Talk, and then you hit the nail right on the head, I think, Michaels.
Yeah. So yeah, if AEW wants to pick her up and she'll be with her husband, fine. She won't. There's nothing else to that division anyway, so whatever. Billy Kay again, hey, you were entertained by her, wonderful. But if you're going to be paying that much money for someone to be contracted to literally come out and do a quick bit, it's just fucking dumb to spend your money like that. And I do not think that I don't think that I think that they happen to get both cut at the same time, but I don't think necessarily that one affected the other. So I think they were done with both of them, especially with that women's division. And this this is what the whole point is. They have just enough talent. So there's other places for people to work. Go work there. People are always saying, well, so-and-so doesn't get a push. Great. They can go to another company now, and let's see if that company pushes them. Because in this company, they're just not worth that value. You know, Joe's the only one who has any type of brand name value of that group.
Hell yeah. His net worth is $3 million.
Okay.
You don't do that off of being ordinary, is what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah, I also don't go looking up people's net worth, but awesome.
I happened to look it up because earlier I was researching other stuff that was going on with him, and I happened to stumble upon that.
Right.
Did not realize he was $3 million.
So let's jump into our second count, and I'm just going to pretty much read where this comes from. It's Ringside News. It's titled WWE's mentality about AEW reportedly changed after strong viewership numbers. AEW Dynamite ran without WWE NXT competition for the first time this week, and they received an outstanding reception. Dynamite garnered a .44 rating in the 1849 demographic and a 1.2 million overnight viewers. And WWE certainly noticed this strong number. Now, during Wrestling Observer's Radio, Dave Meltzer heavily implied that AEW's big viewership number was a, quote, huge deal, end quote. He then spoke about the WWE releases and reiterated how those releases came before the viewership numbers for an unopposed AEW Dynamite came in. Quote, they cut Samoa Joe on Thursday morning, not Thursday afternoon or Thursday night. Things changed greatly in a couple of hours. The mentality was very different. Thursday morning over Thursday night, very different. So, you know, if he can get clear, there's a lot of stuff he can do right now. It's a good period for him, and there are a lot of places that would want him. And then they finish up by saying it's unclear if WWE would have still released those 10 superstars if they knew AEW Dynamite clocked in with over 1.2 million overnight viewers. We also have to wonder if Vince McMahon would have still allowed Chris Jericho on the Broken Skull sessions. All right, fellas, so let's just go right into it here. Would you find this at all that now Vince McMahon or WWE sees what type of numbers that AEW put in? Would they have second guessed any of the guys or gals that they had let go, now knowing what they saw happen? Because the rumor before was, you know, Vince McMahon was locking down everybody so that not just others, but AEW would not grab them. Now it seems like maybe Vince, I don't know, it seemed like he just didn't care. But now they're saying, well, they kind of rolled some eyes here when they saw that number. What's your guys' take on this? Do you think it changed anything, or you think Vince is still confident in what he did, was a very smart move, and actually really not worried about anything of AEW and the numbers that they pulled on Wednesday night? Let's go. What you got?
Doesn't make a damn bit of difference. At the end of the day, WWE, although we're happy that AEW was able to, what was that number again, Sin City Steve, that they did? Was it 1.4 or something like that?
1.2.
Okay. All right. So that's a great number. What's that number look like in the next couple of months? Is it still somewhat of a close emerging number? And I feel like WWE's a lot smarter and been in business long enough. If they were going to entertain those type of numbers, they would look at it, is that what's the consistent? It's only been one night, and we're happy for AEW. But is that what they're going to do week after week after week after week after? So it wouldn't have made a difference. They cut who they cut.
Sin City. Samoa Joe gets picked up by AEW. From that time he gets picked up, and 2 months in, their ratings somehow, through, let's say, great storylines now and great bookings, have now put them over a 2.0 in their million in their viewers. Does WWE start to think going forward before who they let go, or still it doesn't really matter because, hey, they got to do what they got to do?
Well, I think that because you mentioned them being over a 2, I'll play in that hypothetical.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Because right now that would mean that more people would be watching AEW Dynamite than people that watch Raw.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. Yeah, I think it would. Right now, I don't think that AEW is even a shred of a concern to WWE or Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
But that could change if they start to see that more people are watching Dynamite than are watching WWE Raw, which has been destination programming for over 30 years.
Yeah.
So I think that would make them take notice, but it's going to take something drastic like that to make them take notice.
So let me ask you, Matt Michaels, if you're the rolling eye man, you sit and roll your eyes the entire time that the segment's going on. You tell me that you don't see that there could possibly be an issue with, WWE second guessing themselves if they start to see, especially AEW's numbers. They're the ones that have the highest numbers.
Basically,
are you saying that you would not
all? You just went out here and you just said Samoa Joe by himself being signed by AEW is going to garner them 800.
I didn't say he was going. A hypothetical says if he did that, if he did
that, he should get his own fucking show.
All facts, brother.
Hey, the bottom line is you don't know how whatever signing happens.
Dave fucking Meltzer. Fuck Dave Meltzer. He's a fucking hack. This guy goes on and goes, oh, well, they all of a sudden changed their minds because of AEW's number. Because they did this early Thursday morning. Wouldn't have done it at night. Because Lord knows that Peyton Royce and Billy Kay and Kalisto and fucking Mojo Rawley, God damn it, I hate Dave Meltzer. You fucking suck. Go back to your fucking hack fucking get your money from your people that are just fucking brainwashed by your shit that you've been doing for over 30 years. Pick your fucking 60-year-old nutsack up off the ground.
Oh my God.
And take it home, man, because boy, oh boy, what a fucking stupid fucking argument. That's fucking ridiculous.
So, Impact, does this mean that we gotta fight Meltzer if there's a retaliation against Michaels? Because
views expressed by Matt
I got my boys back.
Do not reflect the rest of the Vegas Bad Boys podcast.
Well, no, because somebody get at one of us, I'm gonna have to take the gloves off. I'm just saying, not physically, but just saying. Does that mean we gotta go up against Meltzer?
It's the most asinine thing to create your content by saying, well, I heard. The fuck is that?
Hey, from where? Where was his resources?
He's a journalist.
But where did he get it for, though? Where did he get it from?
He's not going to tell you that.
Of course not, because it doesn't exist. Meltzer's always had that problem. And people have always asked that question about the stuff Meltzer has come up with. We're not the only ones.
You know what you do? If it's a year from now and you start looking at the numbers and you go, hey, boy, they shouldn't have let these certain people go. Sure. That's great. If it's the day after, go fuck yourself.
It's too soon.
You didn't even give it a week.
Yeah, that's way too soon.
It's not even the 90 days compete clause. It's not even 89 days into it. This is ridiculous. And for him to be fucking peddling this shit, that just goes you to show, oh my God, motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
I hate when I start fucking feeling like Cornette, but this is just the problem with Meltzer. And it's not even guys like Meltzer. It is Meltzer.
Uniquely himself.
That's awesome.
Yeah, in all honesty, honestly, and this is one thing to keep in mind, and this is why it makes me so mad. Look at all those names they've let go last year.
Nobody said nothing like what's happening now. I mean, they were upset, but they weren't like this.
The biggest thing about those names last year, they shouldn't have done it during the pandemic. Okay, that's fair. waited 6 months or whatever, let him go, would have been the same fucking result. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's jump over into our third account. This comes from CageSideSeats.com. The new pro wrestling TV schedule is bonkers. Of course, with confirmation of NXT moves to Tuesdays.
I'm sorry. I'll let you finish, and I will shut up. I'll say my piece right now.
Okay.
If you have to write the obvious, then it's not a story. Boy, there's wrestling on every night. It's crazy.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate that, Michaels. So with NXT move to Tuesdays and of course Impact's move now to Thursdays, it says now we know what the post WrestleMania 37 television and streaming schedule is going to look like. And he also speaks for himself that as an old man who is, used to waiting all week for the weekend when I get a WWF clip show, it's it's an embarrassment of riches, but it also makes you wonder who's going to be able to or interested in keeping up with all of this. Well, what is all of this? Well, on Monday, you got AEW Dark, Elevations on YouTube, ROH TV on Fight, WWE Raw on USA. How about on Tuesday? AEW Dark on YouTube, NWA Power on Fight, WWE NXT on USA. How about on Wednesday? AEW Dynamite on TNT, MLW Fusion on YouTube. Thursday, Impact Wrestling on Access, New Japan Pro Wrestling on Roku Channel, and WWE NXT UK on Peacock. And of course, Friday, New Japan Strong and New Japan World and Fight on Fight, and then WWE SmackDown on Fox, WWE 205 Live on Peacock. And then he goes back saying, of course, the beauty of it is that you don't have to, quote, keep up with all of it, end quote. But even if you want to keep up with one company, there are on-demand options for most of these things. YouTube highlights, Twitter feeds, and third-party web coverages to rely on. And it will make it harder for a smaller player to stand out, which is a factor in why almost everyone who isn't WWE is crossing over with others to make their show part of a bigger, more essential whole. Okay? And that's the part we're going to talk about in that sentence. But let me just finish right here. Lapsed or casual fans may look at that and just throw up their hands up in the air like, if enough diehards salivate at the prospect of multiple shows to watch every night of the week, and above doesn't include pay-per-views and events that fill up most weekends, this could just be the start of even more market saturations. Okay, guys, let's go back to that sentence, though. It makes it harder for a smaller player to stand out, which is a factor of why almost everyone who isn't WWE was crossing over with others to make their show part of a bigger, more essential whole. So let's just start right with it. Let me go with you, Simon Street. Is it just way too much? I mean, as a wrestling fan, yes. I mean, you got to be exciting. You got a lot of options, but if you want to keep up with all of it, you're barely going to be able to sleep. How does one handle this in this time where there's just a lot of wrestling on TV, Simon?
Well, first and foremost, I haven't really met anybody who is a wrestling fan that watches all of those products on a weekly basis, truly, honestly, without having to do those cut corners, as you mentioned earlier, with certain off-brand YouTube sites that compile, what happened throughout the week.
Sure.
I'll say that much. Number one, I ain't got that kind of time. I barely have enough time to do the things I'd like to do, let alone watch that much. But what is interesting enough with that, when I look at that, one thing, what Michael said earlier in another show, I probably should get Fight TV, because damn, there's a lot of shit on fucking Fight TV.
Right.
It's different when you look at it. You're like, God damn, Fight TV got all that shit? All right. But number two, it's one of those things. You like what you like. If you see something on the list you like, fucking watch the shit. Don't worry about that other shit, man. And the cool thing is
let me ask you, but what happens if you like it all?
If I like it all, shit, well, in my personal life, I'll just call up DJ Impact to tell me what the fuck happened on Impact. If it's something that has to do with New Japan, I'm gonna call up Sin City. In fact, I might get better quality on a run play-by-play with numbers and stats from Sin City Steve than me trying to fucking figure out shit. That's the cool thing, because for me, I look at it as, look, when you are part of a wrestling community, you have an opportunity to reach out. And really, that's something I haven't done recently myself, that this is kind of a good buy-in, a good leeway into it. Maybe we should all challenge ourselves, not to watch every damn show, but to maybe reach out and say, hey, Sensei, man, I ain't watch, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Strong, man. What happened on there? Is there anything that you think I should probably watch that's worth watching? Man, bro, you should watch this. If I hit up Michaels, hey, Michaels, was anything interesting to watch with NWA Power? Should I really tune in? Man, dude, last week wasn't that good, but this week was fire. Think about it. Think of the fun we could have. And it's not just with us, it's just for everybody. So when I see that, I see opportunity to really have that conversation, because I'm not going to watch all that. The other question I will say, and I'll leave it at that, is I'm trying to figure out, with that much AEW Dark Elevation, AEW Dark on YouTube and Dynamite, why do I have a hard enough time just watching AEW Dark? and that's nothing against the product.
Right.
All right.
Sure.
I'm just saying it just as much to me. Why am I not invested watching AEW Dark Elevation? Not that they got to change the system to fit my needs, but I got to ask myself that question. Why am I not? Why am I not invested in trying to watch that? Again, conversation I can have. Let
me go over to you, Sin City. I mean, smaller promotions. I mean, does he make a good point there? I mean, especially if you're all, WWE and you're trying to now keep up with, I guess that would be 5, right? I mean, if you add UK and if you add 205, I doubt a lot of people, but sure, it's still WWE, right? So if you're diehard WWE and all their programming they do, if being that they have the name, I mean, if they get the majority of your time, it's going to be very hard, if you want to get with MLW or NWA, which deserves to get some sort of numbers and built as well. What would you say about that?
So here's the thing is you mentioned right at the beginning, and it's mentioned in the article, that you don't have to watch every single show. Ultimately, what's going to happen is most of these shows have been running for a while anyway. So these different fan bases are already immersed in the product that they like the best. And I think that bringing in more casual fans is the only kind of growing pain that, the smaller promotions are going to face. But for the more seasoned wrestling fan, what I'm going to mention is I'm going to draw a parallel. Okay. Work with me here on this. To the Cheesecake Factory menu. Okay. All right.
Like fucking this thick.
The Cheesecake Factory menu has over 200 dishes on that motherfucker. Okay.
It does.
And according to Business Insider, yes, I'm citing sources on this, it has over 5,940 words on that menu. Okay. Yeah. Realistically speaking, you don't have to read the whole fucking thing. You don't have to eat everything on the menu. You don't have to watch every single wrestling show. Go with what you like. And then if you feel adventurous, now you have the availability and the capability to, hey, let's try something new. Let's check out MLW. Let's check out ROH. Let's check out Future Stars of Wrestling. Let's check these different promotions out that definitely deserve to have different eyes on them from all over the country and all over the world. I think that what's more than anything getting lost in the shuffle is that now is the best time in existence to be a professional wrestling fan, because there truly is something for everybody.
Yeah. Matt Michaels, I know you've already said your piece on it, but let me just say this. I've told you in the past that one of my biggest mistakes earlier in the 90s is I was just hardcore WWE. I paid no attention to what was happening in WCW, for the exception of NWO, because again, it was making a lot of noise. If you didn't know what was going on then, you must have been living in the rock. So I flipped the station there. And then, of course, I watched during the Monday Night Wars, but I just wasn't. At the same time now, even with talking with you guys here at the Badboyz, you guys reference a lot of things that happened in WCW, which was exciting, which was fun. I missed out on those times. I guess my big thing right now is there could be things happening right now in MLW and NWA New Japan, those types of things that I feel like I should be trying to watch, but it is a little bit impossible to get to it all. How does one manage and pick and choose if they really wrestling fans, want to be a part of these promotions?
Well, the thing is that I would say that I would venture to say that 100% of wrestling fans do not want to be participate in all these promotions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. I don't know what this misconception is that, wrestling fans like all this content. The quite honest truth is that if you put together all the subscriptions for between Peacock now at $5 or $10 a crack, New Japan at $10, Fight TV at $5, that's not including pay-per-views,
mm-hmm.
right? AEW pay-per-views,
mm-hmm.
As well as anything else that you would tack on to your viewing for the cost issue.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying a lot of fucking money every month to view everything in wrestling.
Sure.
So no, that's that. I don't think there's any way to really realistically do that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and Sean Reuter or Reuter, whatever your name is, I hope Cage Side paid you nicely for that little article of, hey, look at the fucking TV Guide website and go, oh, okay, here, I'll just put these on an article. Listen, fact of the matter is this. AEW fans are typically going to watch AEW, probably New Japan, maybe Impact if one of their guys is on it, and possibly ROH, depending on how much of a wrestling snob the fan is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to even try to put in WWE. All right. Outside of doing this programming, Steve would not be watching WWE.
Or NXT.
Yeah. Unless there was, something that was brought to his attention by someone else that
right.
he should check out this clip or this match.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fine. I don't think it's just wrestling. I think there's just a societal thing right now that we just tend to, everything has to have winners and losers. And if the stuff I like, you don't like, then fuck you, because you're wrong. The stuff I like is the only thing that counts.
Right.
So
thank you for saying that.
Which is sad. And thank you for saying that too, because kind of what I was saying, like there's things that I'm not interested as a wrestler. I mean, not as a wrestler, as a wrestling fan. Sure. But I find it more interesting to talk to wrestling fans of that product because I feel like they give it more excitability for me to listen to either watch or just listen to what they have to say. And then that way, if it's factual enough, I can go have a conversation with someone who watches the product. Like, I don't watch the product, but man, I'm telling you what, Michaels watches that, man. He kind of told me like that, man, that really happened. Yeah. And then now you have a conversation.
It's very interesting. We give you shit, DJ, all the time about being the blinder fan, right? You don't read dirt sheets or this or that would give something away in terms of the inner workings of things. Okay. Right. You like to watch something and find the entertainment value of it, yep. Which is a very good thing. That is what I would call your ideal fan, right? Companies, no matter what the product is, if it's wrestling, if it's Star Wars, if it's, Friday the 13th or, whatever the product is, if you can watch it and just enjoy it and be entertained or be a little disappointed in it, but not really, rolling the thing over the coals because, you know, your whole fucking childhood was ruined because of this, that, or the other that didn't fall into the canon of something.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem is the wrestling fans who think they know everything of the inner workings and know why the WWE is so bad and why AEW is so good, or why AEW sucks, and you know, Ring of Honor should be the thing that is looked at, because I I would gather about 75% of wrestling fans are people who consider themselves smart marks because they think they know the inner goings. This is one of my reasons I don't like Meltzer, is because Meltzer is the one who allows these people then to pontificate off of his theory, to then go, well, it has to be true because, you know, so-and-so is talking about so-and-so with so-and-so. And this gets started because Meltzer just happened to say that he heard something or was informed of something. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, if we all had Terry Taylor on speed dial, we'd all be believing whatever the fuck he'd be saying, right? Right. So that's the whole issue. The issue is now it's not that there's so much more wrestling to watch. There's so much more wrestling to complain about. And that is the bottom line hook, because you know what doesn't translate into ratings are people who just want to go online and shit on everything, and then in turn aren't even watching certain things.
Yeah, they're just looking to complain. That's it. Yeah, they're just looking to complain. They're not even enjoying the product. You know what I mean? And it's just like at some point, I think we've all felt that. I don't know if Impact's ever. I've taken a break from wrestling because when I did allow myself to hear dirt sheets all the time and be around, I was like, I can't do this wrestling shit no more. Like I took like a half a year. This was like 7-8 years ago. I didn't want to deal with it no more because it takes the fun out of it.
Well, and it also is one of the more complex things. Unless you've actually worked in either television production, wrestling itself, it's one of the most complex things when you bring all these components together, because wrestling is not just going out there and playing a baseball game or a football game, right? It's something that's weekly. Then you talk about television ratings. Well, the whole thing with wrestling is wrestling was popular before TV came about, but it lost its popularity when the public found out that wrestling was scripted. So what happened in the 1950s is, with television needing programming, they turned to wrestling. And because now they could fill an hour or 2 hour slots with a live local wrestling show from the auditorium, you know, the Olympic Auditorium in LA or in Chicago with the old Chicago Stadium, Madison Square Garden, you know, all these different places. What started happening is wrestling went from a competitive, you know, guys who actually were known as grapplers to now guys like Gorgeous George, when they started realizing, oh, wait, there's something here. TV personalities you can relate to. So the real winners with all this wrestling on TV are the wrestlers.
That's true.
Because they get the opportunity now to wrestle on all these different programs that maybe they wouldn't get a chance to have done just a few years ago.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because I'm kind of thinking about it too, maybe a couple weeks ago. So the way it used to be a long time ago is you go through the indies, and for the people who normally don't get an opportunity, you'd put some good amount of years on before you'd even get an opportunity. Do you see now with this larger exposure of program and TV, you'll see people that didn't have to wait 10, maybe, 10, 15 years before they got to the main stage. Do you see that maybe they could possibly put in a solid 5 years, have good, solid work ethic, meet the right people, and bam, they could possibly get an opportunity faster?
Oh, a lot of guys are getting opportunities faster because AEW is allowing them to wrestle as jobbers, essentially, on Dark and these other programs. Everyone complains about the WWE and, they're not pushing so-and-so. Well, Mojo Rawley, he had his run.
Yeah.
He was not going to sell you fucking merchandise. He was not going to be your world champion. So what do you do with a guy like that then? You have him lose on TV because he has a little established polish to him, right? So that makes your bigger guy look more established. This is something WWE has perfected over the years, from transitioning from a show like Superstars back in the 80s, which you rarely ever saw Hulk Hogan. And if Hulk Hogan was wrestling, he was wrestling a moondog. Okay. You always saw the jobbers jobbing out to the guys that were building as characters. You had a problem with that transitioning in the Monday Night Raw era, or the Monday Night Wars era.
Night Wars. Mm-hmm.
Because when Raw started out, you could even see they were still using some of those jobbers in 93 and 94 on Raw. But as soon as the ratings war started happening, now it was becoming, you have to have big names, so you got to keep the audience attention, and you can pull away from other shows, or at least from Nitro. The biggest thing about most of this stuff now is that nothing has a direct correlation on ratings right away.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at all these things that are listed as streaming shows like NWA. Listen, if they get followers and they get people, buying into what they're selling, then great, they can continue to put on shows. They're just trying to survive, and that's pretty much the structure of ROH and of Impact. And then we get into that broader question of, well, should these companies be working together in a sense to, try to compete with WWE? What is very interesting and very dangerous is that if all these companies start working with AEW, then you have the potential of it backfiring on every single other company, because now AEW becomes as powerful as WWE, and all those other companies are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got a point, because they didn't get a spot at the table.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very excellent point.
Well, guys, thanks. Excellent conversation tonight. Appreciate you working with me with these three topics, and we thank everyone for listening. That is our 3 count for tonight. And again, we thank everybody for listening. We're going to give our final thoughts for this week, and we'll go from there. So let's start over with you, Simon Street. What do you want to tell the good folks out there?
Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate every new viewer as much as we appreciate our day ones and people that contribute. Thank you so much for helping us. It helps the show go even further. And like I said, nothing better to spread the word than word of mouth. If you like what you heard tonight and you meet somebody in a store and, I don't know, they see you have a wrestling shirt on, do us a favor and say, hey, man, I listen to this really cool podcast, man. 4 guys, they all got personalities, but they keep it real with wrestling. That helps so much, because you'd be surprised. We're a community at the end of the day, and we appreciate you, each and every one of you. So thank you.
No doubt. Let's go over to you, Sin City Steve.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, all the great stuff that you guys do. We really appreciate it. Also, special thanks to every brave man and woman serving this country on lands foreign and domestic. You enable us to do this show and everything that we do. So we appreciate you. Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there for all of your energy drink, pre-workout, weight loss needs. Again, that's repsports, reppsports.com. Use promo code Vegas at checkout and save yourself 15%.
All right, all right. And let's go over to you, Matt Michaels.
Hey, Fast and Furious 9, gonna be here this summer. John Cena playing the villain. Can't go wrong. Gonna be fucking amazing.
All right. That is that. You've heard the names. You know Zoe Starks. You know Chris Bay. You know Karrion Kross. Where do these names, where do they get their start from? Well, you know what? If you happen to tune in on our every Wednesday's podcast on the DeFalco Files, you would get a chance to hear excellent talk with Joe DeFalco of Future Stars of Wrestling, where these names you actually heard, and I believe on our wrestling talk, Simon Street had referenced Zoe Starks saying just how difficult it was for her those 8 years, just going hard to get to where she's at right now and putting in that work. Future Stars of Wrestling is the place where she got that training and got to where she's at now. You want to give that show a listen. You definitely will enjoy it. And those are just the 3 names that we currently, they have a long list of rosters of people who we've just enjoyed, who's been wrestling for a long time. It's a great show. It's hosted by Matt Michaels. Again, every Wednesday, if you can, download that show. You're guaranteed to enjoy it. All right. With that, we thank everybody again for listening, our supporters. Jay, thank you for everything you do. Stormy Mormon, we thank you for everything that you do. All of our people in the chat. Chris, thanks for hanging out, man. We give you a lot of props for that, and everyone else that hangs out. And until then, we will see you next week when we do it all over again.